If you've ever stood on a golf course, club in hand, looking at that little white ball, you know it's not just about swing mechanics.
Hmm.
Even the world's top pros will tell you it's a brutal, relentless battle of the mind. That's the universal truth we're diving into today.
It's often quoted that golf is 90% mental.
Right.
And our deep dive today, well, it really puts that adage to the test.
Absolutely. So our mission for you, our listener, is to explore a fascinating research study. This study specifically aimed to investigate if dedicated mental skills training, we're talking about things like, visualization and consciously managing your inner dialogue, could genuinely improve golf performance.
Yeah.
The big question we're seeking to answer is, can these mental skills truly be practiced and refined like physical ones? And what does it really take to see tangible results?
And our core source for this deep dive is an extended summary of that very research paper, investigating the effects of psychological skills training on golf performance.
All right, let's get started. Let's explore why golf is considered one of the most mentally demanding sports out there. I mean, it looks so serene on TV, but what makes it such a mental beast?
Well, what's crucial to understand is the sheer duration of a golf round. It can stretch for, several hours.
Right, long time.
And unlike many other sports where you're reacting directly to an opponent, in golf, your primary competition is the course itself, and maybe even more profoundly, your own internal state. Every single shot is an isolated, individual challenge, often with significant time between attempts. Lots of time to think.
That paints a vivid picture. You're out there, often alone with your thoughts for, an extended period. So if two golfers have very similar physical skills or technical ability, what then becomes the true differentiator? What separates them under pressure?
It often boils down to differences in mental control, things like unwavering focus, the ability to regulate emotions after a bad shot, and consistent self-confidence. These are the elements that frequently explain why one golfer performs significantly better under pressure than another, even if their physical capabilities are almost identical.
So the mind truly is the ultimate differentiator. And that brings us to the concept of deliberate practice. We typically apply this to physical skills. I think a basketball player repeatedly shooting free throws, right? But can we really apply that same rigorous, almost muscle-building approach to something as intangible as the mind? What does deliberate practice for the mind even look like?
That's a crucial question. Deliberate practice is traditionally defined as structured, goal-oriented, feedback-rich, and effortful training. It's considered critical for skill improvement.
Right.
And the study we're examining was designed specifically to test whether these same principles, usually aimed at physical improvement, could enhance mental abilities like visualization and self-talk.
Fascinating. So let's unpack these mental tools the study focused on, starting with visualization. What exactly is visualization in the context of sports?
Visualization, also known as imagery, involves mentally simulating specific sporting actions. For a golfer, this might mean picturing the entire trajectory of a perfect shot, from the feeling of the swing to the ball launching, all the way to it landing precisely where they want it.
And how does that theoretically work? I mean, how does just thinking about a perfect shot translate to better performance out on the course?
Well, there are a few theories at play. The psychoneuromuscular theory suggests that mental imagery actually activates similar neural pathways in the brain as actual physical performance.
Wow.
Think of it like your brain doing a quick, low-energy rehearsal, almost firing the same signals it would for a real swing.
Okay.
Imagery also helps an athlete regulate their arousal level, guiding them to that optimal pre-performance state. And crucially, it allows for scenario rehearsal, mentally practicing various situations to make them feel more familiar and less stressful when they actually happen in competition.
That's incredible. It's like building muscle memory, but for your brain. You mentioned making visualization truly effective. I recall hearing about a framework that helps with this, something called the pedal lead model. Could you explain what that is and why it's so important for realistic imagery?
Yeah, the pedal-it model. It's a practical guideline, really, designed to make visualization as realistic and competition relevant as possible. It's an acronym for physical, environment, task, timing, learning, emotion, and perspective.
Okay, quite a few elements there.
It encourages athletes to incorporate all these elements into their mental practice to make it feel as close to real performance as possible, thereby maximizing its effectiveness.
So not just vaguely imagining, but really immersing yourself in the details. And the study specifically focused on positive outcome imagery. What's the key idea behind that?
Precisely. The focus was on what's technically called motivational general mastery, vividly picturing successful results. This type of imagery is believed to improve focus, reduce anxiety, and significantly increase confidence, all by reinforcing those positive outcomes and the feeling of competence.
Okay, so visualization is like a dry run for the brain. But what about that other constant companion in our heads, our inner voice or self-talk? How does that play into golf performance?
Self-talk. It's essentially the inner dialogue athletes have during performance. And what's truly fascinating here is its dual nature.
Yeah,
It can be incredibly positive and facilitative, acting as a motivator or confidence builder.
right, the inner coach.
Exactly. Or it can be negative and debilitating, manifesting as self-doubt or fear of failure, the inner critic.
And I can certainly relate to that inner critic. So the goal of training is essentially to rewire that internal monologue, turning self-doubt into constructive guidance. Is that the essence of it?
It is. The aim of this training was to increase participants' awareness of their negative statements, reduce their frequency, and then consciously replace them with constructive, positive messages. It's a more challenging endeavor than many might think, given how ingrained some of these thought patterns can be.
It's incredibly tough to control that internal chatter, let alone under pressure on a golf course. How does that internal conversation, whether positive or negative, tangibly affect someone's performance in the middle of a swing or a putt? What's the mechanism there?
It affects performance by influencing several key areas. Attentional focus, whether you're concentrated on a task or distracted, your emotional state, which is crucial in golf, self-efficacy, your belief in your own ability to succeed, and the quality of your decision-making, especially when pressure is high. Negative self-talk can really erode all of these.
With those mental tools intact, the crucial next step is to understand how this research actually tested their effectiveness. Let's dig into the study's blueprint. How was this research conducted? Who were the participants?
The participants were recreational golfers from a local community, so not pros. They were randomly assigned to one of two intervention groups. One received specific visualization training, and the other received self-talk training.
And what was the experimental design? I understand it utilized a modified ABAB structure. Can you break that down a bit?
Yes, it was a modified ABAV single-subject design. A represented a baseline phase with no intervention, just to establish a starting point for each person.
Okay.
B was the training phase where mental skills training was introduced. Then they reverted to A again, a reversal phase where training was withdrawn, before reintroducing training in a second B phase.
Right. So on, off, basically.
Kind of. This design lets researchers observe cause and effect more clearly for individual participants. They had actually planned to incorporate a third skill, compartmentalization, but it was omitted due to time constraints.
Interesting. So how did they measure whether these mental skills actually made a difference in tangible golf performance? What were the metrics?
They focused on two core golf school measures: putting accuracy and pitching accuracy.
Makes sense.
For putting, participants made 20 straight uphill putts from 10 feet, and accuracy was measured in inches from the hole.
Okay.
For pitching, it involved 20 pitch shots from 30 yards, with accuracy measured in feet from the target. Pretty standard tests.
And how did they check if the mental skills themselves were improving? The manipulation checks, as the source calls them. How do you even measure an inner thought or image?
Yeah, that's the tricky part. For visualization, participants viewed golf shot simulations with a protracer flight path, the line that follows the ball on TV. The video would cut short, and they had to state in which colored zone they believed the ball would stop. This tested their ability to mentally complete the shot.
Huh. Clever. And for self-talk.
For self-talk, participants used a small physical T-holding device to literally count each negative thought they had during performance testing.
Wow. Like a clicker for bad thoughts.
Essentially, yeah.
Yeah.
It's a very direct attempt to quantify inner dialogue.
That's a unique way to try and get a handle on something so internal. What did the training procedures for each group actually involve? What did they do?
So the visualization group went through progressive training modules, starting simple and advancing to more complex scenarios. The focus was specifically on positive outcome imagery, imagining successful shots, not like analyzing their swing mechanics.
Got it. Just the good results.
Right. And they were encouraged to practice these modules freely outside of the formal test sessions.
And the self-talk group, what was their training?
They received education on the impact of negative self-talk, then practiced counting their negative thoughts during sessions to build awareness. Crucially, they were encouraged to actively replace those negative statements with positive motivational phrases. So awareness plus replacement.
All right, now for the big reveal. the unexpected results. What did the study actually find regarding golf performance after all this training? Did it work?
Well, this is where it gets truly surprising. Across all participants, there was no clear improvement seen in either putting or pitching accuracy.
No improvement at all?
Not clearly, no.
Yeah.
In fact, high variability in performance persisted throughout all phases of the study, which itself is interesting. People were just inconsistent.
Okay.
And to make it even more counterintuitive, some players even showed slight declines in performance after the training phases were introduced.
Hold on, that completely flies in the face of what many people believe about mental training, declines. It's almost counterintuitive given the theoretical backing for these techniques we just talked about.
It is.
Does this mean visualization and self-talk are just bunk? Or is there a deeper, more impactful lesson hiding in these results about why they emerged? What about the mental skills performance themselves? Those manipulation checks, did those improve?
That's precisely the right question to ask, and the answer there is also not really. The visualization group showed no consistent improvement in their imagery tasks. And a critical point the study highlighted was that their reported practice outside of the formal sessions was minimal, like almost none.
Okay, so they weren't practicing.
Exactly. And for the self-talk group, only one participant reported consistently fewer negative statements over time. Most showed no meaningful change. So the skills themselves didn't seem to develop consistently either.
So the real aha moment isn't that the techniques failed, but that the people failed the techniques, essentially. It sounds almost too simple, but that's an incredibly powerful realization. Why do you think it didn't work as expected? What were the main factors contributing to these weak results?
That's the core issue, I think. The primary factor seems to be low participant engagement and minimal practice outside of the formal sessions.
Right.
This implies that simply being exposed to the training isn't enough. Consistent, deliberate application is absolutely key.
Just knowing isn't doing.
Precisely. There are also external challenges like weather disruptions, which cause missed or delayed sessions, breaking the continuity of the training, real life getting in the way.
So real-world conditions got in the way, and maybe the type of participants mattered too. Recreational golfers might have a different level of commitment than, say, a competitive pro.
They certainly might. The study noted that recreational golfers, unlike competitive athletes, may have been less motivated to commit to systematic mental training as deeply. It just wasn't as high a priority, perhaps.
That makes sense.
And finally, the study design itself had limitations, specifically a relatively small number of data points in each phase, which limited the ability to detect clear trends or consistent changes. Hard to see a pattern with limited data.
That sheds a lot of light on it. It truly sounds like the environment and the participants' motivation played a huge role. But what does this all mean for the bigger picture? What's the vital lesson here about the power of commitment when it comes to mental skills?
Well, this study delivers a vital lesson. Mental skills require the same disciplined, regular practice as physical skills. You can't just dabble.
Right.
The study clearly shows that merely attending testing sessions without deliberate, consistent mental training is unlikely to yield improvement. It's not a magic pill. It's about the consistent effort. You have to put the work in.
So it's about the grind, whether it's physical or mental. Beyond what we've discussed, what other limitations did the study itself have that might influence its conclusions? You mentioned the participants.
Yeah, beyond the low adherence, using recreational golfers meant they might not prioritize performance improvement to the same degree as competitive golfers, making them perhaps less suited for an intensive intervention like this.
Okay.
And while conducting the study in real world, outdoor settings enhances realism. It simultaneously reduces control over conditions, introducing more variables, wind, rain, whatever.
True. Less controlled than a lab.
Exactly. The small sample size and also data from participants who dropped out further limited the ability to draw really definitive conclusions.
If this kind of research or training were to be tried again, what would make it work? What are the key recommendations for future success based on this?
The recommendations really focus on ensuring that consistent practice actually occurs. This includes maybe targeting competitive or team-based golfers who already have established practice routines and, frankly, a higher motivation to improve.
Right, people already committed to training.
Yeah. And it would be crucial to build in more structured and supervised training to ensure adequate practice frequency, maybe integrated into their regular practice. Extending baseline phases would also help capture more stable performance measures before interventions. Get a better starting picture.
Makes sense.
For visualization, maybe making the training more interactive, perhaps gamified, and incorporating self-testing could significantly encourage engagement, make it less like homework.
Yeah, more engaging.
And for self-talk, including active reframing techniques, not just awareness, could make a big difference in actually changing those thought patterns. Give them the tools to fix it, not just notice it.
Those sound like critical adjustments to really make the training stick. So, for you, our listener, what are the practical takeaways from this study, whether you're an athlete, a coach, or just someone looking to improve your own mental game in any aspect of life?
I think the big one is mental training can be powerful, but only if individuals engage in consistent, purposeful, and feedback-driven practice. It's not passive.
Active effort.
Exactly. Programs should be carefully tailored to an individual's motivation level, their specific context, and their preferred learning style. One size likely doesn't fit all here,
Right.
and this study powerfully illustrates that even well-designed interventions can fail if practice compliance is low or if environmental conditions disrupt continuity.
Yeah, life happens.
A blended approach, seamlessly integrating mental skills into existing physical training sessions, might also significantly increase adoption and long-term use, make it part of the routine.
That's a fantastic distillation of the practical implications. So while this study didn't show improvement among recreational players, it really boils down to why it didn't work. The adherence, the context, rather than the invalidity of the techniques themselves.
Exactly. The study's findings didn't support the hypothesis that short-term structured mental skills training would improve golf performance among these specific recreational players, primarily due to those factors: low adherence, external disruptions, participant characteristics.
But the ideas still hold water.
Absolutely. The theoretical foundation for visualization and self-talk training remains strong. The potential for these techniques to enhance both mental preparedness and physical execution absolutely remains.
This deep dive really shows us, then, that even the most powerful techniques are only effective with committed, consistent practice. When applied to motivated, performance-oriented individuals in a structured training environment, these techniques still hold immense potential to unlock performance.
Indeed. It's a reminder that true mastery, whether physical or mental, comes from consistent, deliberate effort. No shortcuts, really.
So this leaves us with a provocative final question for you, our listener. If mental fortitude, focus, and self-belief are skills that can be trained through consistent, deliberate practice, where else in your life beyond sports could that kind of dedicated mental practice unlock untapped potential? Something to think about for your next challenge.